Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Who Knows Best. I am one of your co hosts, Cassie Bollinger, and tonight I'm excited to share something that's really special for you, but my experience at Director Boot Camp in Meridian, Idaho. This training was like nothing else, and it's been such a credible opportunity for growth and learning and connecting with everybody else. Oh, I had so much fun. We're going to dive into what makes this boot camp stand out, the lessons I've learned, and how it's helping me level up my Scentsy business. So grab a comfy spot and let's get to it. I do want to introduce my other co-host tonight. This is the Jacqui Duran, the OG of YouTube training, my amazing bestie. She's going to join me tonight because guess what? She's been a director boot camp too. Whoop, whoop.
Not the front door.
It's very exciting. The first time you ever receive the email, you have been invited to director boot camp. Like that is almost it's a milestone. It's one of those great opportunities. And the first time I was invited, it was yanked away. So back in 2020, when I started, I skyrocketed. I was rocking this business and I got the director accidentally. So I looked back and on my month 3 that I had a team.
It was not accidentally. You worked hard for that.
I worked hard, but it wasn't intentional. I wasn't like, I want to build a team and I just knew I wanted to recruit some people because I wanted to share the business. I wanted to have other people to talk to Scentsy about because I was so in love with everything Scentsy that I had no one to talk to when I joined because I didn't have enough of an upline that could, I guess, communicate enough for what I needed. So I was finding other people on YouTube, which I found Jacqui before I knew Jacqui. And then, but I was also watching all these other people. And that's the whole reason that I even started like asking people to like start with Scentsy was because I wanted to have that community. I wanted to be able to talk and sit and, because my husband and my kids were already like rolling their eyes at like, another Scentsy box, another Scentsy box. What are you going to do with it? I'm like, these are orders. And they're like, sure, right. Because all of a sudden I went from 1 warmer to like 12 in like, the first 3 months because I had a whole bunch of free stuff. So, but the first time it was during COVID and they were not allowing like flights. You couldn't even get on flights because they could only have so many people next to each other. You had to fly with a mask the entire time. I probably wouldn't have gone the first time only because I couldn't wear a mask in public for that long. I hyperventilate. I don't like wearing masks, period. It gives me that claustrophobia. And so it's been bad. So when I got this email a couple of months ago, I even sent it to our little group chat and I was like, I got a director camp. I said, but that's so weird. I think it's wrong. And I don't know. It may have been Jacqui being like, oh, it's probably an error. Don't worry about it. And I had sent an email to Sarah because she's the one who sent them out. And I was like, I think you sent the wrong person. She's like, no, this is for you. And I was like, oh, yeah. And everybody was excited. So the trip and experience was absolutely just mind blowing. And I can honestly say I felt inadequate. I felt imposter syndrome completely the minute I
was going to say, did you have imposter syndrome? Because I did too. And I'll tell you my story after you're done. But yes. So did you have imposter syndrome? How did you feel when you were there?
So I'm showing up and I'm like, I'm going to director boot camp, but I'm only an SSC. So I had my title. I had it all.
Only.
It's only a title. It really is only a title because it was such a great experience, but I really did. I was scared to tell anybody that I was an SSC, that I didn't deserve to be here, that I was not the cream of the crop. I didn't get picked because I was the best. I felt like I got picked because I was left over. And it was really going through my head. And my husband was like, but you were invited. It doesn't matter. Somebody saw something. There was a reason why you're going to be there. And there's so many reasons why your path has gone this way. And I truly believe that because I'll tell you what, day one, if you told me I'd be sitting here 4.5 years later talking about my director like camp experience, sitting here with the Jacqui Duran, just chit chatting because we're besties, like I would have been like, you're crazy. But that's how life goes. But I started talking to everybody. Now, the first night, I definitely was exhausted. I hadn't packed, so I had to get up at 4 a.m. I packed that morning. The only thing I left was my sleep shirts. I didn't have a shirt to sleep in. That was so funny. That was a lot of fun because I did pack some extra long sleeves because they told us it'd be cold and it was still 85 degrees. It was not cold. It was quite warm. Ugh. But knowing and talking to others, I was not alone in my predicament, and we bonded off of that. So, but yeah, imposter syndrome, I think it's for anybody. And so you're automatically feel that you're not worthy to be there amongst these people. But you know what? There's a reason for everything. And I was very, very lucky to be included in this one. And when they told us that by the end of the time that we would be these people would be my besties, I was like, no way. Like, there's no way I can connect to these people. Are you kidding me? I'm like, I have group chats over here. We have Zoom scheduled. We are like working our business because we're all in the same predicament. And so we have other people that are in, like it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not like we separate by title, but whenever you're in the same kind of like realm of like, we have the same amount of people. We all have like between 15 to 30 people in our teams because they've kind of dwindled down and we've kind of lost that fire. And so talking about how to grow that, it's different from whenever you're talking to someone else who may have 4,000 on their team or 5 or 6,000, and you're kind of like, lots of people. You're like, how do you do that? But we'll get there. We will get there.
Yes.
So I have to ask Jacqui, so that your first time getting the email, like what went through your head? Because, like I said, imposter syndrome all the way around here. Like you got to tell me about your experience, and maybe we'll just sit here and compare how it's been different in the last, what year did you go?
I will say, because I hit director in September of 2018. And so director boot camp was October of 2018. And so as soon as I hit director in September, it was September 1st, 2018. I immediately was like, I'm going to director boot. Like, that was the thing, right? Like, I'm going to director boot camp. That's what I have to do. That's what I do. That's what you do when you hit director. You go to director boot camp. And this is amazing. My sponsor and I did not have a relationship. So I went to my SSD and I was like, Tracy, I need you to help me here. Because I don't know, I don't know what it is, but I know I need to go to this thing, but I don't know where it is. I don't know nothing. And so Tracy helped me out a lot and mentored me in everything. And so when I went to director boot camp, I went in October of 2019. I was boot camp 40. Boot camp 40. You will always remember your boot camp.
I'm boot camp 53.
53.
Yeah, 53. So there's been 13 boot camps since you went.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Now the boot camps go twice a year, right? So you have October and then there's one sometime in.
I think there's a spring and a fall.
Yeah, there's a spring and a fall.
I think there's a spring and a fall. So I was boot camp 40, and so I immediately signed up. I was fresh off the boat. Like, I knew nothing about being a leader, being a director, being
like, I'm just struggling trying to survive. How am I supposed to lead people?
Right. And so, but I was like, nope, this is what you do. This is what I do. This is how I sign up. I signed up. That was the thing. I did it, whatever. So I went, and I was telling Texas right before we started recording, I actually felt imposter syndrome because I had hit director September 1st of 2019. October of 2019, I was already in DQ. So did I hit in August? I don't remember now. Anyway, either way, I remember I was in DQ when I was at director boot camp. And I felt like an imposter. I was sitting there amongst all of the, I don't even remember how many were in our boot camp, however many were in our boot camp.
I think they
But
said it's like normally about 50-ish.
yeah, around-ish.
It's a
Yeah. I
roundabout.
think,
I think
yeah,
it kind of depends
yeah,
on maybe availability
yes,
or hotel space. I don't know,
yeah,
but I think they
yeah,
said, because we asked them like, how many people do
yeah,
you all normally invite? And I think they said 50.
yeah. That would make total sense. And so I felt very, there were other people like me who were in DQ, and there were other people who had actually fallen down to SSC and who were no longer a director. But I personally was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I belong here. Like I did not feel like I belonged, because for me personally, I was in DQ. And so I was like, well, I mean, all these people are sitting here like, we got we got the, we're gonna become a star director. We're gonna become a superstar. We're gonna do all these things. It's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting there and I remember thinking to myself, like, why am I even here?
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
I
yes.
am not these people. Like I don't have a huge team at that time. I didn't have a huge team. I didn't have all the numbers. I don't have personal PRV that would like blow everybody out of the water. I don't have all that stuff. And so I remember just sitting there like, "Oh my gosh, I am such an imposter. I have absolutely no reason to be here." And it was the end of the month, whatever it was, October, November, whatever it was of 2019. And it was literally end of the month that we were there. And I remember it was end of the month numbers, and we were trying, it was like, because again, I was in DQ. And so I was like, oh my God, we have to hit director numbers. We have
Like,
to.
I'm
And
here
so
at director boot camp. I need
yes,
to hit
like I'm
numbers.
at boot camp. I have to do this. Like, oh my gosh. And me and my team, I was racing my team on, and we were trying to boost each other up, and we actually hit. And I actually hit director numbers when I was literally, it was literally like the 23rd hour of the day of hitting the numbers, and I hit it, and we were in the lobby, and I was like, OMG, we hit director numbers. That was the only time I ever went in DQ. I will say I'm very proud about that, but that was the only time I was ever in DQ. But I was sincerely worried because even though I was there and I was experiencing all of the things, I felt like a complete imposter. Like I did not belong to be there. I had absolutely no reason to be in that place with those people and all of the things. And so it was a very big mind suck to go through all of that. Um, but I remember it being the end of the month and hitting that, and just being like, oh my gosh, we did it.
I couldn't imagine trying to being that far away from like your office or your
Yes.
stuff, and being at the end of the month whenever like you're trying to track numbers and you're trying to do all this
Yeah.
stuff, and maybe you don't have everything you normally do. Because see, I use my laptop at home, but I didn't take it with me. I just took my phone because I was like, you know what, I don't want to drag my stuff with me. But we did it in
Mm.
the middle. I mean, like we went at the beginning of the month. So maybe that's why they've changed that, is because at the end of the month it may be a little
Maybe.
bit discombobulating. And then
Yeah.
having to get up for the first of the month releases would be
Mm-hmm.
even
Yeah.
harder. Granted, there's nothing really I mean, I don't think we have anything on the 1st of November. Maybe that's why they do it in October, because we have the September 1st and October 1st
Yeah.
releases for the holiday and the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, but I will say that the first night was rough. Um, I mean, I did, I got checked into my hotel, but my roommate, which this was another thing, I haven't had to room with anybody since the remote SFR trip of Branson in 2021. Like that was the first time I ever had to sleep in a room. Actually, I didn't. I
Here's my
slept in the
thing. I was so paranoid. I was so paranoid. I was so anxious about that I actually bought out my room. So I paid an extra $100 to buy out my room because of that fact, because I was so anxious and paranoid about sharing a room with somebody I didn't know. So I actually paid an extra $100 to buy out my room. I
well, they
did.
do it different now.
Oh, do they?
Yes, you actually have to pay. the half portion of the room cost.
What was the half? Because like I said, I paid like $100.
Well,
I
the
paid
rooms
$100.
themselves are like $300.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I paid $100.
Yeah.
But
So,
that
and they may have
was
been cheaper than
that was
two. You got to think about everything.
that was
Like,
October 2019. So
yeah,
there we go.
everything pre-COVID was a little bit
Yeah.
different in pricing than it is now.
Yeah.
But I had messaged my roomie before, and of course my legal last name is different than my name on Facebook and through
Yeah.
Scentsy, but they still gave my official name. So when I
Yeah.
messaged her, she was like, I look for you in the group because we do like I don't know if every boot camp does, but we have our own Facebook group. That way
We have ours too. I
So
don't
do
think
you guys still
I don't
use
think I've
it?
been yes, but I don't think I've been in it in quite some time.
You
But
might
there
need to
is
check back in with some of your
there's
boot
still a
camp
boot camp
buddies.
party group.
But we, like I had contacted her, and so she was driving in, so she wasn't going to be there until later. I landed at like 1:50. By the time we had 9 consultants that all gathered together because we all landed within an hour of each other.
Oh,
And
wow.
the next group was coming in at like 4, 5, and 6. So we were like, we're not waiting that long because we had 9. I mean, we had to split up the list.
That's a whole Uber, honey.
No, that was 2.
Uber.
That was 2
I was gonna
Ubers.
say, that's a whole Uber.
Yeah, so we got 2 XLs.
It is not a short trip from the air.
It was not. It was 9 minutes
to the hotel.
It was like 9, 12. It was like 9, 10 minutes. It wasn't that long. We had no traffic. Just the
That's
time that we
good.
came in on a Wednesday, it was just a random Wednesday, and there wasn't a lot of traffic, so we lucked out on that. But we split the Uber, so I'm sitting there talking to 9 people. Now Jennifer was there, because she is part of Bliss, and so we had talked a couple of times because she didn't know that there was a group, and like we're all exchanging different information. So we get there, we get everybody that we know is landed, and we head to the hotel. And we got 2 Lyfts. I keep saying Uber. We got Lyfts because it was a difference of almost $25 difference. It was going to be almost 50 for Uber, and it was 26 something for
there
Lyft.
you go. There's another difference because it was all just Uber for us when we were there.
Yeah.
Like everything's Uber.
So I always compare, even when we were out in Orlando, we still compared if we had to go from the hotel, or from the airport to the hotel, we wanted to make sure that we found the best deal because nobody wants to overpay. But it was great. So we got back to the hotel and they're like, oh, we're going to meet at like 3:30. Cause we got back, I think we got there like 2:15. And I'm like, no, I've been up since 4 a.m. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hang out for a while, but we had the meet and greet at 6:30 or 6. So I was like, I will just meet you guys there at that time because I was not going, I didn't want to overwhelm myself and I didn't know what to expect at the meet and greet. And there's a whole funny thing with meet and greet, but I'll tell that in a minute. But my roommate showed up. I was like, I already picked this bed. I was like, because I need to be close to the bathroom. I always like to be close to the bathroom because I have to get up in the middle of the night.
You get murdered first. No, you get murdered first.
Yeah. So I
had this whole argument with my mom just last weekend.
Yeah. Well, but at the Orlando room, the bathroom was at the back.
Yeah.
Remember, we had to walk through and the bathroom was at the back, so it didn't matter.
And I'm not getting murdered first.
Yeah, you weren't getting murdered first. So Robin and I had that first bed. But I was the first bed and I was closest to the bathroom because I figured if anything, if I had to get up in the middle of the night and someone was going to try to come in, then I was just going to pee on them and then have to go to the bathroom. It was like, whatever. So, but she was like, no, you're good. And she's like, oh, you have all your stuff all neat and whatever in the bathroom because I'm very overly organized. And the only reason I'm overly organized, everything that is liquefied or could be, it's all in individual Ziploc bags because I've had stuff explode in my luggage before. I didn't want to have to try to find like laundry, but it was, so she came in and she's like, I got to ask, are you a morning shower or a night shower? I was like, you tell me whatever you are, I'll be the opposite because I can do either. It doesn't matter because, now, especially with my hair this short, I don't have to wash it all the time. I don't mind washing it, but I was like, I just have to wash my face at night. But she was she was the daytime and I was night. So I'd wash my face and I'd hang out for a while and then I'd jump in the shower. But Cressa was amazing. I mean, like we really just kind of clicked and she came from Washington and I flew up from Texas. So for her, it was warm. I'm like this. I'm like, this is cool. This is like a high of 80s. I'm like, whoop, whoop. I came from where it was 98 degrees. The weather was dry. If anybody's going there and you're from the South or anything with humidity, you go up to this dry climate. And I'll tell you what, my allergies were gone. I could hear things across the hotel room without having to be like, huh? But my hands were chapped. They're still a little chapped.
Yeah.
My hands were chapped. I couldn't lotion them enough. I took all of the lotion from our hotel room. The girls were even bringing me extra lotion from their rooms because it was so bad. It looked like I had a rash starting.
I will tell you, because I had my own room, because I bought out my room. I remember I took bath bombs. I took Scentsy bath bombs, and I took a bath every single night in the bathtub because I was like, oh, first of all, I was like, OMG. I don't have the kids. I don't have a husband. I don't have any. I can have my time. And so, first of all, I was excited about that. But second of all, I was excited because I was in my own room for the first time, and I don't even know how long. And so, yeah, I did bath bombs every single night. I loved it. It was
But
amazing.
this was my first Scentsy experience since Branson that I did not room with you or was not in the
Yeah.
same house with you. Actually,
Yeah.
Branson and I was still in the same house with
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
but I didn't know anybody except for Jennifer. I did know Jennifer, but I didn't know her that well. Like
Right.
I knew
Right.
who she was. She had shown up at SFR. We, that kind of thing is
You
that we
didn't have a
interact.
relationship kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
I don't
Yeah.
like I couldn't go down the list anything other than I knew that she was in Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I mean, I'm not normally nervous, but again, the imposter syndrome is still in my head. I'm going down to meet these people down at the meet and greet. And I get there and all the tables are filled except for like two. And they're in the
Yeah.
very, very back. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go and sit over here because my roommate was already at a table and there was no extra chairs. So I was like, no big deal. I know I've met her. I'm just going to go meet other people, but I'm going to find my own table, which I'm so glad I did. Now, of course, Sarah was over there and she's like, you come over here. And I was like, I'm not going to try to squeeze my chair into these already, I mean, they weren't like squeezed in, but I was not going to
No,
try to
but
be
yeah, I
one of
remember.
the,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be one of those people that tries to squeeze and make everybody move. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm good at my own table because that means I can spread out. Like I can have my stuff everywhere. They gave us our little bags. And it had our boot camp. Look at this. The boot camp. Yep. It had our
Yay!
shirts.
And your
It had
shirts,
our,
did you guys get to iron on your shirts and do all the things?
yeah, well, we could have. I didn't, but yes,
Okay, I
it was
did. I still have
available.
mine in my closet. I should go hold on. I'm gonna go
Okay.
get mine.
Okay,
You
I'll
continue.
talk a little bit
You
more. You go
continue.
get it.
You continue.
So
Oh,
yes, there were shirts in there and they had iron on. It was so great. But I didn't want to iron anything on because I knew me, I'd forget and wash it and it would either disappear or something. So I was like, screw it. I have the press on or I have the iron on thing. So if I decide to do that later, I can. But I don't iron. Iron's a 4-letter word in my house. So I don't do that. Just kind of like clean, but I spell it CLEN. It's clean. That's also a 4-letter word in my house. But it was great because I had some extra. There's some consultants that did sit down that were like me that were a little bit late to the game, and I got to meet them. I mean, I honestly didn't know what to expect, and I think we were all under that assumption is that you don't know what you don't know. Look at that. Oh, Duran. Oh, so this was before you were the Jacqui Duran.
yep, it was just Duran. It was just Duran then. Yep.
Oh, and they have the same. I wish I
Yeah,
grabbed mine.
Duran on the
Same
back.
shirts. They
Yep.
still have the same shirts.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I got my name tag and
Yeah.
they had my dog tag on there. There was a lot of stuff. I'm not gonna go I'm not gonna give away all the secrets, but I will say this. If you get an opportunity to go to director boot camp, go. Like it doesn't matter. Figure out you walk, you crawl, you drive, you fly, get up there because
Yes.
going to Cincy's home office and seeing the grounds themselves, like it
Yes.
was so funny because there's a lot of late night talks, and Chuck was talking about how when
You guys
they,
get Army men at boot camp?
yes, we did. Yes, we
I
did.
still have all my Army men. I have
I was
all
in
my Army
platoon
men.
3. I was in platoon 3.
I have all my Army men. Okay.
So
Okay.
they do the grounds themselves. When we see the pictures and stuff, it doesn't even do it justice.
No, it doesn't. No.
So I don't know if you know this. So when they hired the groundskeepers, when they moved to their location that they're at right now, when they hired the landscaping team, they told them that they wanted who they were hiring to be able to use Scentsy Commons as their portfolio to go and do something for the masters. Like they wanted, that's how particular that they were.
Yeah.
And on the trips, the walking paths that go to the different buildings, Orville made sure that they knew he wanted certain plants in certain areas so they were very aromatic through different seasons. And they are plants. They are not like our Disney or Walt Disney that has like the little like scent machines.
Yeah.
The plants themselves are
Yeah.
so aromatic on certain paths. Now, we're in the fall, but they have stuff that you can smell really great in the winter. They have stuff that you can smell really great in the spring and in the summer. They do this purposely.
Yeah.
Those grounds, amazing. Like we're talking, they said during prom and during homecoming season that their grounds are covered with tons of people. It is a public area. If you ever get a chance to be up in Idaho,
you see all the geese?
No, they have guard dogs now.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, I will say that about the dogs. Okay, here's the thing. We were like in session, right? Like in session in the building, right? Like doing the classes and doing the thing. And we're like looking outside and all of a sudden we see like dogs running outside. And we're like all of us are like our attention is captured. Like we're like, what? Why are there like there's dogs outside?
They're Scentsy dogs.
Happening?
They are.
And so we asked, and so somebody raised their hand and they're like, excuse me, I have a question.
Like there's dogs there?
Why are there dogs and handlers outside? What is happening?
Yeah.
And they were like, here's the thing. We live close to Canada and there's a lot of geese. And so we have dogs who we keep here on the property and we train them and they will chase off the geese because geese can leave their excrement and all, all of
it
the
destroys
things.
everything.
Yes, and they will.
They eat
and
the vegetation. They eat everything.
And I'm like, are you kidding? We have dogs. We have Scentsy dogs.
We have Scentsy dogs.
We have Scentsy dogs.
We have Scentsy dogs. So it honestly was a great experience. And then I got to see Heidi and Orville. Oh, wait. I got to remind. So that was the night. So we got to meet people and then basically like, there's food and there was stuff to eat. So then that was it. I went ahead and went to bed because at this point I kind of relaxed earlier, but I was exhausted. I was passed out by like 9:00. The next morning I get up, it's 5 a.m. My roomie, we'd already talked. She was going to get up at 6:15 because she was going to take a shower in the morning. And I was like, I either need to get ready before 6:15 or I need to wait till she's done. But we had to be on the buses by 8:30. I had more than enough time. Get up at 5 a.m. I'm outside. I'm like sitting there.
I know Texas well enough that she is planned in advance. She knows when we're leaving.
I know I need to know where I can't be left. I wasn't going to be paying for Ubers for stuff. Nope. But I got up early. I got some of my TikToks done. I got some, I posted some stuff. I had gotten my test results back for my speech. it was a great morning. I called my husband because it's an hour difference on time. And so at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. It was 6 here. He was off on Thursday. So that was our first full day was Thursday. I got to talk to him and then I just kind of stayed outside and I went upstairs and we're getting ready and we go down to the buses. So we're all like down in the lobby and, we didn't know, we just had our name tags on. I didn't even look that I was in group 3. Like we kind of
you don't even know it's about to happen.
Yes. And the bus drivers show up and they're like, the one bus driver, she's like, platoons, are you ready? And I was like, oh, this is like real boot camp. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing no hike. But I will say, and hopefully she sees this. So I'm getting on the bus and Krista and I are sitting like the third row from the front. She sat down, so I sat down next to her and we talked and I hear a scream. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? She's like, you're on YouTube. And I was like, who? Who's on YouTube? She was talking about me.
Shut up.
I was like, I got so embarrassed. Everybody was like, "You're on YouTube?" I was like, "Are you?" They're like, "Are you important?" And I'm like, "Well, I have a podcast with my besties." I was like, and I
Oh,
started listing off.
honey.
I said, WaxyCats. Half the bus was like, "What?" And then I was like, Jacqui Duran, like, "What?" And then I was like, Robin Hatfield, I'm like, "What?" Like, I had the whole bus all of a sudden on my side of like, "What do you do on the podcast? Can I have the link?" And blah blah blah. And they're like, "Do you know Jacqui? Like, how is she?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, you know WaxyCats? Is she really obsessed like cats like all the time?" And then they're like, "Robin." I mean, like, it was just they were asking all these questions. And I was like, I got embarrassed because I was not expecting. Like, it's different when I go to SFR because
Okay,
I
I
know
was gonna
what's
say
real.
you should know from SFR how this goes.
Yes,
Don't act
but
like you
it's
don't, because you
different.
do.
They're not coming after me. They're coming after you and Lisa. Like,
Welcome to our world,
and so
honey.
I was
Welcome to
like,
our world.
I got embarrassed. And then I was like, she's like, "I
I
have to
know.
have a picture." And I said, "Well, why don't we do the minute we get there?" And because I wasn't expecting what we got. So when we got there, I was like, when we get there, I said, "I promise I'll get a picture with you." And she was like, "Oh my gosh." So she's like going to the back and she is just adorable. Like, she's absolutely adorable. But it was so funny because then they started asking questions. And, again, imposter syndrome is still going on in my head because I didn't believe I
Yeah.
belonged there. And as
Yeah.
I'm telling them, I'm like, "Well, yeah." I said, "I started my YouTube channel like 2 years
Mhm.
ago and I only had like 5 videos." And Jacqui was like, "Keep posting, just keep posting all your
Yes.
trainings. Go ahead and put them on YouTube because there's just, that's the only
Yeah.
way you're going to keep growing." And I'm like, "Okay." I think I'm up to like 300 videos now.
That's
Very impressed.
amazing.
So, I mean, and my following has progressed. I think I'm
Yes.
sitting over, where am I sitting at? As of the beginning of this month on YouTube, I had like over 200. I think I'm actually over 3 now. But, and it wasn't like I'm after followers. I'm trying to give content out to
You're trying
people
to
who need
build
it.
that relationship and that bond and everything with everybody. Yeah. I mean,
And
it's not just about followers. It's literally building that community. Yeah.
yes. And it's hard because I told him, I said, "Well, when
It's
I
hard.
lost my title," so the entire
Yeah.
bus is
It's
hearing
hard.
this story. And I was like, "I lost my title. And
Yeah.
in the last like 3 months or 2 months, I've been doing almost a daily vlog of like my journey of what I'm
Mhm.
doing, what's working, what's not working, the good days, the bad days, the frustration." And I said, I just share the nitty gritty, the behind the scenes. I said, then we do a
Mhm.
podcast because there's 4 of us and we all work our business different. And so we
Yeah.
have different perspectives. Like, we have WaxyCats who gets huge PRV. And
Yeah.
then, and then Jacqui will always say, "I'm not a salesman. That it's not about the numbers."
Mhm.
And like, but we all do it differently. And there's things that we're good at. And some of us have really
Yeah.
good Scentsy clubs. And some of us do the PRV. Some of us are really good at recruits or
Yeah.
reinstatements. It's like, and we can bond. So I'm telling everybody on the bus and like people are listening to me. And I'm like, this is great. Um, there was like, it really was an eye opener for me because as much as I feel I deserve it, I've never thought I was there. And after going to director boot camp, I realized that the things that I've been working on in my business are the things that I excel at. And so now it's time to not only keep working with the things that excel, but also start getting down into the nitty gritty of the things that I'm not good at. And there's ways to do it. Like it was just eye opening, and the trainings are great. Don't get me wrong, but I
Yes.
will
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
the
Like
you and
yes, trainings are wonderful, but the
the
experience,
experience it's just unfathomable about
it
how
is.
much
It
of a
is.
change it is. Because
It is.
honestly, all the trainings that they're giving us is the same thing in the workstation.
Yep.
The biggest difference is you get to ask questions of like kind of understanding because someone can tell you that 1 + 1 is 2, but if you're confused about one and then you're not understanding how to get to the two, having someone to be like, "Okay, let me break it down."
Mhm.
And I think that our Scentsy team, everybody who helps with the consultant support and everybody does their own job and they're behind us. They're not just people. Like, these people care about our businesses and want us to excel.
Yeah.
So getting that one-on-one of trying, like, and of course, if you know Jason, you know that I didn't know in person he had just as much excitement as he shows at
Oh,
SFR.
he does.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
he
it doesn't
does.
matter. He's always on. Like, it's constant. And it was so funny because we did have some international. We had one lady from Australia, and then we had another one that she was a French speaker, and I can't remember if she was actually from France or if she was just over in Europe somewhere.
I was gonna say, was she Canadian or was she?
No, she was definitely over the seas. So
Okay, okay.
she
So like region
wasn't French
three.
Canadian, I
Region
believe.
three.
Um,
Okay.
so, but we did have an Australian. She was amazing. Flo was
That's
amazing.
amazing.
So, but it was so great because at one of the little get-togethers, we were talking about who flew the furthest or who came the farthest. And of course, I
Yeah.
was in the one with Australia. I said, but I came from Texas. Like,
Yeah.
everything's bigger in Texas. And I know you came from across the sea, but don't I get a little whoop whoop? So, but it's hearing everybody's story and finding out that you are not alone. I think
Yeah.
that's the other thing is
Yeah.
we, you know, even with the four of us, we all get busy in our lives, and like sometimes we feel like we need more attention, or at least I know I do. I'm an attention whore. Like, I honestly, I need the attention every once in a while, and I'm like, where are you guys? But we have lives going on, and there's times that I'm not available because I'm in the middle of class, or I'm working on something. I turn my phone off,
Yeah.
and it takes me, an hour or a day, or I fall
Yeah.
asleep early. So it's nice to be able to know that there's other people that are in my situation that that honestly can relate to being in director Q that's currently.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you were
Yeah.
there, but it's been a little bit of time.
I was going to say that was one of my biggest realizations because I was such a new director. Like I said, I had just became a director and then just went to boot camp. So it was all a new experience, just being in a leadership role in and of itself, but then also being in director Q and then having the imposter syndrome and not really knowing where I fit in. And I didn't know who I was at that point and all those things. But it was a very humbling experience because we made shirts, which I still have the shirt in my closet. I should have grabbed that when I grabbed my boot director shirt. And we made shirts and it says we are stronger than our struggles.
Oh my God. Hold on. I need to write that
And
down. Hold on. Hold on. Stronger than
we are
our struggles.
stronger than our struggles. And it says boot camp 40 on it. And every time I wear that shirt, I am constantly reminded of the fact that no matter where I am, even if I was a certified consultant, right? If I was a certified consultant, if I had just started last week, if I'd been doing this for 20 years and I wasn't a director or superstar director, whatever it was, right? Like, we're stronger than our struggles and we are better together, right? And I think
We are.
I think that boot camp really gives us that realization because it wasn't until I went to boot camp that, and I remember telling Tracy this, our superstar director, I remember telling Tracy and I was like, here's the thing, because I had been to World Tour, I had been to SFR, I had done all the things, like I had done all the things, but I was like, here's the thing with boot camp is that that was the first time I ever felt connected to other people who were going through the same struggles I had been through.
Yeah.
And I truly related to people because of the
Well,
fact
how many times did I sit there and tell you guys when we started talking and we were going to do this? I'm like, yeah, and I can tell you how like this is the only thing I'm good at, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is the community
Yeah.
connecting. It is the reason I stay. Honestly, like, if you get down to
100%, 100%, yes.
if it wasn't for meeting Jacqui in 2021, if it wasn't for getting to know Robin and then having Lisa come in, because like I knew who Lisa was. I mean, everybody in Scentsy knew who Lisa was because she was sharing these amazing photos. But and I found out later she was in Jacqui's downline, and I knew Jacqui, and I was just kind of like, I've never really talked to Lisa, and she's like, oh, she's good, she's one of us, we're good, and it's knowing that you have people on your side. But at the same time, there's still times that I feel that I have to keep up with y'all. And it's not like a comparison of like, oh, Jacqui's doing so much better than me. It's all like, like I need to up my game because there's things that even though I feel like I can do well, I'm still not seeing the fruition of it, the completion of
Well,
it yet.
and I'm gonna pull from my Melissa Gratz. I'm gonna pull from my mojo. I'm gonna pull from a mojo, and I'm gonna say, if you are the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room, right? If you're
Yes.
the smartest person at the table, find another table. And I think that with the four of us, with you, me, Robin, and WaxyCat, like we all are strong in our own different ways, but at the same time, we all can pull from each other, right? Like we are not necessarily the smartest at the table, so to
Well, I
speak,
think we're smart at the
but
table for certain things. And I think that
but we can pull from each other and
exactly.
work upon that.
We're like
Yes.
at 4 different tables, and we
Yes.
all are like, we are the smartest person at one table, and we have to go over here. So if I want it's like we kind of rotate around. And so I think that's why the 4 of us work together. Oh, and I did meet one of Mojo's teamies. She was there. She was like, yeah. And I mean, there's so many of them, and I'm not going to shout out everybody's name only because when you meet 50 different people and I'm horrible at names themselves. I mean, of course I know Cressa because
Did you guys all take your group picture on the stairs?
yes, we did take that. Yeah. So I can't wait till that
Wait
comes
till you
in.
get your group picture. I still am like, oh my gosh, I need to print and frame that picture. Like it's one of those things that I'm like, I have to print and frame it. Like I
Because
have to
it
do it.
is well, and
It's
we
amazing.
also have our pictures out at the lake house. So
Yes.
that was another one. So those will be a couple, and I maybe do a collage.
Yeah.
But I have to say that there was 2 or 3 people that were not even consultants that were there that really kind of, I guess, I'm gonna cry for a minute. Hold on. So the interpreter for one, so there was 2 interpreters that came through because you got to think about it. If someone is constantly having to repeat what everybody says all day long, they have to trade. And I honestly, I can't even remember her name, but she came up to me because I made her get in the pictures with us because she'd been with us on all the tours. She had been with us, like going through all this, like she's going through everything with us, even though she's not a consultant. And so when we go to do our big picture, I was like, you need to get in here. Like, why are you over there? I was like, you are part. And she's like, no, 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 I'm just doing my job. And we're like, what you are doing is not just a job. Like, you are able to help one of the other consultants learn all this stuff. You're regurgitating you're translating in your head as fast. And trust me, when they got to Jason, you know how Jason talks, that she's like, I said something like yippee or woohoo. And she's,
oh, you're gonna make me cry.
but I was like, so she pulled me aside and she was like, you have been my highlight for this camp. She's like, you are such a bright light that you just need to keep shining. And I was like, there's just times that like I shine when I talk about Scentsy. I shine whenever I'm involved and around other people because it's the only time that I feel like I can be completely myself without like bombarding my husband or my kids with Scentsy stuff. And it's hard when you have to like keep a part of you down
this
because
is me. I know it's Scentsy, but this is me.
But this is
me.
Like this is
you.
This is if you ask all my friends, that they all know I'm all about Scentsy, but I don't want to have every conversation with them about Scentsy.
Yes.
Just like when we get together, we don't just talk about Scentsy, we talk about everything. And it was just one of those things that I realized that when you do the things that you're meant to do in life, you will shine brighter. You will find your path easier because you're meant to be there. When it's the hard struggles that you feel like doors keep getting shut, it's because you're going in the wrong way. And the best analogy I can have is whenever you put a GPS location in, right? You put this location in and it shows you this path. And then you make a wrong turn. And it's like it's rerouting. It's like you're still supposed to be over here. Why are you over here? And then it's like wrong way, reroute. Take a U-turn. U-turn. Take a U-turn at the next left. Okay, take a U-turn at the next left. Or okay, now we're far enough down. You got to take a U-turn at the right because I don't know what you're doing.
Just start over.
I know. And it's like, are you going back home? Like, where are you going? And I feel like God has done this for our path, is that there was many times that I could have detoured away from Scentsy. I couldn't have, I easily would not have gone to Brands if I hadn't lost my job, if I hadn't have signed up with Scentsy and then was struggling just to understand and wanting the community. I could have, but then it was like a week. We were there for a whole week. I could have detoured it at any one of those times. Then when everybody was leaving early, it's kind of like, because
we weren't leaving early though. Let's just say you and I were not leaving early.
We were not leaving early, but it was like
others were leaving early, but we were not.
No. But there was other stuff we were supposed to do Saturday, but everybody else was leaving, so we decided to leave in the morning to come back, because I was hitching a ride. Like I did not drive. I hitched a ride, and then I slept on the way back because I was exhausted. I was like, we've had 6 days of this.
Oh, for goodness sake. We stayed up for almost like 24 hours.
Yes. We were at that trip in Branson. We were up until 2:00 in the morning, sitting in the back because it was an awesome little porch, and we had all these chairs around.
I went in the hot tub. It was like 100 degrees outside, but I still went in that hot tub.
There was quite a few of y'all in the hot tub, and it was just one of those things, is that when you get around these people, these other consultants, and they're from either, they're from different states, they all have different uplines, they all have different team situations, they all have current personal situations. Some of them are working full-time, some of them are doing Scentsy full-time, some of them are full-time moms, and then they also do like all these other things, and they have so many different hats. And this, like, it just dawned on me that I am where I'm supposed to be. And this is, everybody has their own journey, and this one is mine. And I got to do the things that I never expected to do. I got to be around people that I never expected to be around. And I never thought that this would be, this isn't something like, I want to grow up and be a Scentsy consultant. Like, that's not one of those dreams. Normally it's like, I want to be president. Actually, my kindergarten teacher did say I was either going to be a teacher or the president of the United States, but she wasn't sure which one. Neither one of those paths were good for me.
Did you sign your name on the wall?
So I did. I found a spot on the other wall, because she wanted us on one, but there were so many people over there. I found some spots, and then I put my location.
Okay. So yeah, for everybody out there who doesn't know, when you're at Scentsy home office, there are walls where you can write like your name and your team name or whatever, or your boot camp.
I didn't even put my team name. I just put boot camp 53. Yeah. Like, I didn't know I didn't even know.
I don't even remember I remember taking a picture, but I want to say I probably put my name and my boot camp number. I don't even know if I put my team name, because I don't even know if I had my team name at that point. I don't know. I really don't know. But I know my name is up there, but there's a wall, like literally you write in Sharpie on the wall, and
and they have a book now that has the locations. So on the very top,
shut up.
They have locations. They have A through whatever on this side, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so you can find your quadrant. So if you ever go to home office, you can say, I want to look up Jacqui Duran, and it'll have the quadrant. Now, and they said the only people that they couldn't see, there was some that were faded, because when people put their hands up on there, the wall, but they have tried to keep, like, do as many, like, they've kept as many, but you can find your upline, your besties, whatever. And I should have, but of course we went and signed this when it was like at the end of one of the days of all the tours. We were the last ones up there, and I was so exhausted. I didn't even think about it. I was like, my legs were swollen. We had walked for miles. I had the best shoes on that I
told you it was going to be a lot walking.
But I only have so many pairs of shoes for long walking, and that was the only pair I had. And on the walks, there's not places to just sit down to stop for a minute. And I was swelling, but my swelling kept down to a minimum, but then we sat for long periods of time. I can't really sit and stand and do that for a long period without putting my feet up.
Yeah.
But at least if I didn't have those compression socks, I lost my ankles. I actually lost my calves. I think it was just one big blob for a while. Yeah. But especially by the time I got home, because I didn't wear my compression socks on the airport or in the airplane.
You didn't? Why not?
Because I was told you weren't supposed to wear them on the airplane. I don't know.
Why?
I can't remember. Someone told me they give you a blood clot or something. I don't know.
Oh, I don't.
So I didn't wear them on the airplane. But by the time I got home and at the minute I put my feet up, I started to see my ankles. I started to see my calves. There was actually definition. It wasn't just like blown up. Um, but it was so worth it. It was worth it. So, and then I had a
What was
conversation.
your, okay, hold on. I have to ask you, what was your biggest OMG moment? Like not of like this is my biggest takeaway, like maybe meeting people or whatever. Like what was your biggest OMG? I had no idea moment. Like what was that
Um,
for you?
so there was now I don't know how long she's been working at the home office, but her name is Jonay Greenfield.
Mm-hmm.
Jonay. So she there was a way that she presented doing home parties that really blew me away. Like we were able to get her to do it again, so I recorded it. That way I could see it because the she was a prior consultant with another direct sales company
Mm-hmm.
and she came over for training.
Mm-hmm.
And she is bomb.com. Um, she always did in home parties. She always did, so she was very, very successful. I don't know, like, and I don't know the backstory of like how she came over to
Right.
she's in the training department with um a lot of the stuff that goes on our workstation for
With like
different parts.
Sarah and all of them or
Yeah, she works with Jason and then they
okay.
work with
Okay.
so she does a lot of stuff with the actual training. So she's probably
Mm-hmm.
under Lacey at some point somewhere. I think
Mm-hmm.
most of them are. Um but that was like the biggest thing of realizing that first you need to make sure it is what is comfortable with you. Like you can't try like I can't do a script and try to be Jacqui. There's just not it's not going to flow, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But you also need to think outside the box. Like in in her home party, I'll just say that like in the home party, she talks about the join thing first. She doesn't wait till the end when everybody's starting to scatter and everybody's smelling all the stuff. She starts with it first. And then she go like so there was a whole process that blew me away because
Mm-hmm.
it was you get it out there first and it's over because that's like one of the dread is having that join
Yeah.
conversation at the end. And if you get it done and done, then it's like, oh, well, I did the hard part. So now let's just get to the easy part. I didn't even think about that concept. If even like my Zoom parties, even like in the Facebook parties, start with the join first. Start showing them every day about the joy. Like you talk about it first because they're going to be more attentive by the end of the day, by the end of the party, by the end of the Zoom, like at the end of that hour or the week or however long it's going on. Asking them then whenever they've now like almost kind of disconnected is like, okay, now I'm like, I'm just tired. I want to eat or, like,
Mhm.
oh, I forgot about the party, blah, blah, blah. You catch them in the beginning. That was like my biggest aha for business one.
I
Other
love
than
that.
that, it really like to know how much home office is behind us, like how much they are cheering us on and what they do for us. Like the entourage that when we first got there, like that blew
I
me
broke down
away.
in tears. I remember recording it and I am crying as I'm recording it. And I'm not normally a crier. I cried.
And I'm like,
Cried.
I didn't know what was going on.
I
I'm
didn't
like sitting there
either.
going, who are they looking for?
I
Like,
was like, what are these signs for? Wait a minute, that's my name.
yeah.
Why do
Well,
you have
mine
a
was
sign with my
inside.
name on it? Oh my gosh.
So when I
Okay.
was walking up and I'm like, I don't see my name. Like, I don't see my name. And they're like, there's more people inside with names. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like our buddy? And we were like, are we supposed to go with them? Or like, are they taking us on a tour? Like, and I thought that would be a really cool concept is they have all these people come out and then you actually kind of go with them for like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. And then you kind of get dropped off. But it was it was very, like a very sobering experience. And I didn't cry per se. I was overwhelmed and it hit me about 3 hours later on one of our breaks during our lunch. I had like a uh an anxiety moment of like what am I doing here? Like what like I can't even absorb all of this stuff that's going on and I can't take the moment. And Stacy was outside with me and she walked me through an entire process. She's like, I need you to count. I need you to count to 5. And then I want you to close your eyes and I want you to breathe. And we're going to breathe. And then now we're going to be like, what can you hear? What can you see? What can you taste? What can you touch? And
Yep.
it was just kind of, she had to walk me through the whole process because
Yeah.
I was starting to freak out, being like, this is so
For those
amazing.
that don't know, one of the most significant events when you go to director boot camp is the first time that you go to the actual location. It is, they drop you off on the bus and you literally get off and everybody's standing there, kind of like if you're getting off of an airplane, everybody's got like Uber names, right? Like they're all on signs
All have
and
different
there's all
signs.
names. And they're all names, and you're just looking and you're like, wait a minute, there's names. I don't understand. Where are their names? There's names. Everybody's got names.
I'll have
Then
to show you my videos
you're
because as
looking
I'm getting off the
around
bus, I
and
realized
everybody's cheering and
they're
everybody's excited and
they're like,
they're
welcome. And
welcoming
we're
you
like, to
in and they're
what?
like, you're a rock star and you're walking through this like, what is happening
It's like if
right
you were in the red
now?
carpet and you had all of these
Yes,
people taking photos and yelling your name, and
yes.
you're just like, what's going on? And then, so we're getting off, and I finally realized like what's kind of going on. And I'm grabbing my phone, and then I'm like, there's Heidi and Orville. And I keep walking. I'm like, oh my God, that was Heidi and Orville. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then there's Sarah, and then there's Jason, and then like, and Dan's there. And you're just like, these people are here for us. Like, what are we doing? Like, what, like, completely blown away. It was it was the highlight. It's been the highlight of this. Well, I can't really say the highlight. It's one of the top 5 highlights of this year. Like it was spectacular. It was an experience that even when I go again, because I will go again, and I will go to Star Summit, and I will go to SSD Summit too.
There's a star director summit, there's a superstar director summit, yes.
Yeah,
I
so
have
there
never I've been to an online star director summit. I did not go to the in-person star director summit. I could, with work and everything else, I just have not been able to make it work. And it's I will say, I mean, Boise is not, it's not one of those typical destinations
no.
that you can hop on Southwest and it's like, get away for $59. Nobody wants to go to Boise, but
No, I had a straight shot. I didn't do layovers.
that's
And I was one
fantastic.
of the rare ones because mostly because it's not a normal hub out of
Yeah,
DFW, but
yeah.
it is on the route. So luckily all the people were coming. That's why I had like 7 different people. I think four or five of us were on the plane together because
I
they
want
had
to say that
come.
my flight there and my flight back both stopped in Texas, like at DFW or at Love Field, one of the two. But yeah,
Out of
I
both.
came
There's
through.
both.
Yeah, I came through Texas on both legs. I
So if you
remember
go
that.
to if you go through Southwest, then you're
Mhm.
definitely going left field.
Yeah.
If you go, um, if you go American and Delta, then it leaves out of DFW.
Mm,
But I was lucky. There was others that had multiple
yeah.
layovers,
Yeah.
multiple, like some of them were still, as of yesterday, some of them were still flying home, but it wasn't just because of layovers. Some of them were going to different locations and then going home.
Mhm.
Some of them had stayed later. Some of them came in earlier.
Mhm.
Um, we did have some random star directors that were there, and we were trying to figure out why. Like that morning I was outside, there was people leaving, and I'm like, why are they leaving? I'm like, when so I finally asked somebody, I was like, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, we're going home. And I was like, y'all not staying? And they're like, no, we've been here. They
Yeah.
were another group, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're
Yeah,
like,
because Star Director Summit and Director Summit hit right up against each other. Like it's
and then
literally
the
one's
SSDs were
leaving, one's
after us.
coming.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
after we left Saturday, on Sunday, they were having
Yeah.
SSDs coming in. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, so star directors were actually there right before we were. And
Yeah.
then they were leaving, and then we were coming in.
Yes.
But it freaked me out because I started telling people, I was like, I think there's some people leaving. Why? Like I was freaking out, going like, who hurt you? Who yelled at you? Because let me know and I will go back you and let's go take care of this. It made me feel so much better. They're like, no, 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 no. We've already been here for like 4 or 5 days. We're heading back. And I was like, oh, okay. Carry on. Carry on.
Go ahead. Go
I mean,
ahead.
who leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday? Like, why are you leaving? But it was because they finished on Wednesday and they
Yes.
were leaving the next day, which I wish I kind of
That
had.
would have been me had I gone. I couldn't make it
Well,
work.
you know what? The
I
next
couldn't make
time
it work.
when I go again I'll have to make sure you go with me. No,
Yes.
by that time you'll probably be but we'll
Oh,
have to make sure that you make
we'll
it to the
see.
next one because
Yes.
you know how it is. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what
Yeah.
the Star Director Summit would be.
It's yeah, I mean, I've only been to the virtual Star Director Summit, so I don't know what the in-person looks like. I know it is different because you don't get all the tours and you don't do all of those things with the Star Director Summit. And I know because I'm friends with a lot of SSDs that their SSD summit is way different than even the SD summit. So
Well, because I've
each
seen some of
one is a little
the
different.
SSDs that got to go into the warmer room.
Oh yeah, they get
Yeah,
all the
they get 5
yeah.
minutes, but see, we didn't get to see that. We did get to see the
SDs
wall.
that star directors have never been able to do that either. So we've never no, we've never had that opportunity to go in and just pick a random warmer. So that hasn't happened. But I will say
Not yet. Not yet.
one of the things, and I love Scentsy and I love everything about Scentsy, and I'm a Scentsy person for life. I will say the one thing is that with a star director, you do kind of feel like the redheaded stepchild because you are literally in the middle of the directors who by all means, like directors or up and coming directors, we want to focus on you. We want you to build your communities and your teams and your groups and your businesses, and we want all of those things, right? And then when you get to SD, it's like, oh yeah, you made it to SD. And then it's like, well, wait till you get to SSD. And then when you get to SSD, then it's like, oh, you get all these perks and you do all these cool things and blah, 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 blah. So the SDs, we're all sitting here like, what?
What
Oh,
about me?
what happened? What happened between there and there that I'm just
Well, because
like,
as a director, you're newly in the leadership
yes,
role,
yes.
and so they want to make sure that you have the information
Hmm.
to further on, like
Yes.
to understand. Because I didn't realize this, that there are some people when they hit director, they don't understand the compensation plan, or they don't
Yes.
understand the kind of the rolling up of generations and the
Hmm.
way that your team will work.
Hmm.
And so when they were explaining that, I already knew most of that because I'd researched it. I've watched all the trainings through, like,
See, I hadn't. That was all brand new
yeah.
news to me when I
So
was there.
there's
I
a
was like,
lot of,
OMG, this is how it works. Like, I didn't understand.
well, all those trainings that are on Scentsy, whenever you search for
Now,
something, yeah, they're on there now. Yes,
now.
that it's a whole new system. There's tons of training,
Yes.
and all what they do for directors is you may not know the stuff is there. And
Mhm.
so when he's talking, like when he goes over, like when Jason went over one of those, and then they showed up a spread, like a little sheet, and they're like, "This is in your workstation. This is what you search," and then
Mhm.
like this. And now I don't know if this was done before, but I got all of the slides and everything that they showed on a flash drive. And the
As
flash
fun.
drive is dog tags. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least you get the information because, of course, we're all
You
trying to
do.
write down everything that's on these slides because it's like everything is there. But
I know.
luckily, I'll get a chance to look through that. I haven't done it yet because I had school today. So, but it was definitely experience. I honestly, I mean, I know everybody thinks this their boot camp's the best, but I definitely know that the boot camp 53, we since we're fresh home, there won't be another one until next year.
I
Um,
know.
that we like we can't, we felt very special. We felt very honored. I think we were all
You
overwhelmed,
should.
and it was a great experience. And I know how, I think at SFR, because it's so many people, and whenever you go into like the different training rooms and you're listening to different, people speak on different things,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming because that person may have had to say that speech like 2 or 3 times in some of the smaller breakouts. They try to alternate because they want to be able to have, like, you be able to go also train, but having a smaller group, yes, yes. At least you found that. You couldn't find your
Here's my
notes.
flash drive. Here's my
Yes.
flash.
So I thought that was awesome. Um,
Very cool.
but it's one of those that there's so many other things, and I don't want to get all into, I want to leave some surprises for some people, but
Yeah.
it's definitely an experience and something that you won't probably the closest that you could ever get to is if you went to like a small retreat, because you would be able to connect and bond. You get to stay up at night because you're all in the same hotel. Like SFR, we're at 5 different hotels or 10, depending on locations. You know, when you're so exhausted from the day, you can't really stay.
Well, and even then with SFR, if I compare SFR to like director boot camp, like with SFR, you probably are going with people either you're rooming with or your teammates or whatever, and you kind of stay within your little group, right?
Yeah.
Whereas director boot camp, and I had told you before you went, I was like, okay, you have to take lounge clothes because you're going to be down in that lobby. Y'all are going to be talking until late hours of the night. Chuck will come over. He hangs out in the lobby, like you're going to ask, like the whole thing, right? And just remember, like that was my biggest thing. Is every single I remember. I mean, as amazing as boot camp was, and all the sessions, and all the things, and all the tours, but every night it was like, oh my gosh, tonight we have another opportunity to all of us sit down and we could share stories or talk about how we do this. And like if people would bring down their laptops or their iPads, and we'd work on things together and collaborate. And then Chuck would come over and then we'd be like, hey, I have a question about blah, 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 blah. And then we'd ask a question and then we'd get on a whole new topic. And we'd be like, hey, let's all go sit in the pool or the hot tub for a while. And then we'd all go sit in the hot tub. And like, it's a whole community.
It
And
really is.
it's so different.
And ours was a little bit different because the first night, I mean, like I said, I crashed. So I know that they probably stayed up. I know that Chuck was there on Thursday night. I stayed up as late as I could, but it got to be like 11:30, and I was like, we have a big day. Of course, Friday was the night that I decided to stay up late. There was a group of us that we were up until 1, and we had a 7:30 thing with Marlo in the morning.
Oh,
don't tell him about that. Hey, don't tell him about that, because everybody's got to experience Marlo, because it was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. It was an experience.
Oh, the Marlo experience. Yes, it was.
She has a new acronym.
I'm sure she does.
So yeah, I don't know if y'all, but yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So let's just say that I'm still feeling the Marlo activity.
The only thing I will say is it took me a week to be able to just sit on the toilet and get back up off the toilet, just because.
And I had to stop. I had to so probably about halfway through. And of course, Jennifer, I'm really going to come at you for posting those videos. Posted some videos from that. I'm going to have
somebody took videos of you guys. Oh, no.
You'll have to go through her pictures. But I am going to have to message you. Luckily, the one that I'm in, because I was in front of her, I turned around and saw her and I was like, So that was like only 5 seconds long. But yeah, there's a great video of my backside.
Amazing. Yeah, that's awesome.
But I had to stop halfway through because I had all my luggage with me, because I was going to be
a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
Airport, because my flight left at 1, and so I was leaving at 10:30, because I still have the whole thing is I have to get to the airport early in case anything happens. I need to make sure that I know where I'm at. And it was so I didn't really have my other shoes on. I didn't know that this was coming. They told us to have lounge work or lounge wear. They didn't say have your good shoes on, and I didn't have my compression socks on. So at one point I did lay down. They thought I was going to die, because they're like, "Are you okay? Do you need water?" And I'm like, "No, my feet are swollen," and I'm laying on the ground with my feet up on the chair. And I'm like, "I'm good, guys. I am good." But my ankles are not, because I had just one of my Hey Dudes on.
Oh no.
Because I had my backup pairs of socks. So when I went to the airport, I didn't have to walk barefoot through TSA. So I had my socks that I was going to throw on before we got on into the Uber or the Lyft. But that had out, but everything else I even forgot my notebook that they told me to make sure to bring was in my suitcase, and I wasn't going to open my suitcase, because that side, all of my dirty clothes always go to the side where my bathroom stuff's at, because I don't want it in my other side, and I don't want to switch sides.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not getting to there, because I frantically packed a little bit the night when I got upstairs, but I didn't want to wake up my roommate, so I did it in the morning before, and I was just trying to make sure I got everything. She'd already left and went downstairs with all of her luggage, and I'm like, eh, I'm trying to make sure I get everything. Like, so I just threw everything in there. I didn't have time. I was so tired,
Oh my
tired.
gosh.
But hey, it made great flight because I slept on the way home.
Oh, I bet.
Drove myself. It was the best plane experience. It was the best experience. Like I'm glad I'm recording this tonight because that way I can look back and be like, woe is me. And I can be like, hold on, go back and experience all that again.
Yes, exactly.
So, oh, I just realized what time it is. So let's go ahead and kind of close this out because, hold on. I don't even know where my stuff's at. Hold on. Hold, please.
Uh-oh.
I always try to make sure I keep all my stuff, but I did not.
Jeez,
So,
Louise, what am I going to do with you?
I'm a little off. Like, I'm still tired. I probably could have slept all day, but I got homework to do, so I don't got much time. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for listening to us on Who Knows Best. This is 4 consultants who have came together, and we share about our business. And tonight we talked about my experience at boot camp, director boot camp. Jacqui got to like relive some of her highlights of whenever she was able to go. There is so much things that are available to you on Training Wise. So let me just go ahead and I'll plug the workstation because the workstation is your best friend. You tell me that you don't have any training because you don't have an upline. Wrong. You go to that workstation and you can find trainings through videos. You can also find YouTube. You can find your tribe without having an upline. I am a testament to that. And you don't have to use your upline. You don't have to do anything with them. You can build your business on your own. Because honestly, if you do it all by yourself, you will be better trained than someone who has been fed all the goodness. And it will feel so much sweeter when you do get to that point. Because one thing I did say, I cannot blame my upline unless I'm willing to praise them when I get there. So remember, it is not their fault. They may not be ready. They may not be ready for you, but you need to be ready for you. So remember that this journey is always an up and down. You do have a community. Reach out, stretch out. You can talk to any one of us, ask us any questions. You can drop down comments down below wherever you're listening to or watching us and let us know your insights. So if you're struggling with something, maybe we can do a training on it for you. We're going to have a lot of guest speakers coming up in the next couple of weeks. I have filled up the calendar until December because, guys, I have a whole group of people who are willing to come on and chat about their business. And we got ladies from doing parties to doing boxes to how they do their follow-ups, all different kinds of things. So stay tuned. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channels that you are listening or watching this on because there's going to be so much more content, more guest speakers. And guys, we're giving you this all for free. So absorb it, take it up, take some notes. Let us know what you think because we just do this because we're glamorous. I'm just kidding. I had to throw that in there. Because one day you might see one of us and just know I'm very awkward. I had to tell everybody on the bus that I'm very awkward and I don't know what to say. So when you tell me that you know me from somewhere, understand that this face is just, I don't know what to say because I'm just starstruck. But Jacqui's never like that. Jacqui's amazing whenever she meets consultants. She is. She's absolutely amazing. You can hunt her down anytime unless we're hiding her in a corner because she needs to eat.
Can. You'll find me. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, guys, I am Cassie Bollinger.
I am Jacqui Duran.
And we love you. So if you haven't heard today, I love you. You are strong. You are important. You are worthy. And you got this. And you're almost there. You have, it's in your sights. Follow your path. Follow your passion. Follow your love. And I promise it will get easier the more you lean into yourself and know your strengths and find them and tweak them. And you'll enjoy the ride. We'll see you guys next time.